الشكر الجزيل إلى جامعة الإسكندرية كلية الطب ممثلة بمعالي الأمير والجميع الدكتورة هالة وجميع الأعضاء المنظمين لهذه الفعالية. الشكر موصول كذلك إلى جميع الأساتذة المتميزين المحاضرين في هذه الورشة والحضور الكرام. مثل ما الدكتور صلاح عن الدكتورة فيها الفاضل مستشار الإقليمي للأمراض المزمنة في منظمة الصحة العالمية المكتب الإقليمي لشرق البحر المتوسط. في أحد يتكلم غير ناطق باللغة العربية؟ So, in my presentation, I think I will be orienting you and we will be talking about a different aspect on clinical. As I see now from the morning you have been talking about specifically about kidney diseases and some chronic diseases. I will be presenting what is the picture of non-communicable disease currently on a global level. Then we talk about what is the situation in the region as a whole. And then we talk about the most common and severe risk factors, what other risk factors we are worried about, and what other risk factors we don't agree for. And then I will be presenting what is the World Health Organization doing in this regard. As you know, World Health Organization will be dealing with plan and policy and strategy related to the control of non-communicable diseases in general. When we talk about non-communicable diseases and chronic disease, there are many, as you know, there are many diseases covering under chronic disease. But as a WHO, we focus only on 4 main diseases, which is mainly cardiovascular, diabetes, cancer, and chronic respiratory disease. Kidney disease comes under the chronic cardiovascular diseases and diabetes. Why we are focusing on the 4 main diseases? Because one of the issues is the limited resources and limited, in terms of financial resources and human resources in most of the country of the region. It is best to direct the planning and the control and prevention on the 4 main diseases. And the most important reason that the 4 main diseases are sharing the main risk factor. So when we talk about diabetes, kidney, and cardiovascular disease, we are doing intervention which is attacking the main risk factors like tobacco, smoking, and physical activity and weight. It's better to think in this direction. When we do attacking or when we do intervention, we are covering the 4 main diseases at the same time. When I say region, we are talking about our region اللي هي شرق البحر المتوسط. There is 22 countries in this region. Egypt is one of these countries. So we're covering the country starting from Afghanistan, Pakistan, up to the North Africa اللي هي Morocco, Tunisia, or Libya. So all these 22 countries are covered under the region. On a global level, I think most of you are aware that non-communicable disease burden is high. If you see, when we say EMR, it means our region, and the distribution of non-communicable disease, communicable, and injury. If we put non-communicable diseases and injury together, we are talking about here 70% of diseases, mortality, and death is occurred due to non-communicable disease. Injury, violence, injury, road traffic, if you add it to the non-communicable, it will be the majority of diseases death for them. And also in terms of low and middle income countries, unfortunately also these diseases are more common in low and middle income countries. Majority of the disease burden happen in these. In terms of a projection, what will be the future picture? NCD mortality will increase by 15% in 2020, and the greatest increase increase will occur in our region and Afro region. So we are facing a major increase in non-communicable disease in the future. Cancer specifically, cancer will increase in 82% in low-income countries in the year 2030 compared with 40%. So we are having really double the increase of cancer cases in our region. On a regional level, that is the Eastern Mediterranean region, which I described 22 countries, we are having now, most of the data show that 50% of the death mortality, if you look into each country, you see that 50% is related to non-communicable disease. And cardiovascular on the top. Most of the death from cardiovascular. And they are causing 60% of the morbidity, diseases morbidity. And this figure are expected to increase in the future. I mentioned cardiovascular is the major cause of death. Life expectancy is increasing in the region. So we have people to live more. So we are expecting more people coming with cardiovascular diabetes because the life expectancy increase up to 70% or 70 today. Diabetes, the picture is also not good. I mean, we have, if you see the latest International Diabetes Federation report, they show like, in fact, 6 countries of the region they are the top number, the top or the highest country in terms of diabetes worldwide. And these are UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, Turkey, and also Egypt. They are 6, in fact, not. So Egypt is one of the highest country globally in terms of diabetes prevalence. And we are predicting in our region we will be the second. I said second after Africa in terms, or after Afro in terms of the incidence of. And you see here in this chart, in this table, it shows it clearly that we are going to face, in 2015, we will be 25% higher in terms of non-communicable disease. Following Afro, they have the 27% increase. So we will be the second highest in terms of increase. And this table shows it clearly that the prevalence of diabetes, we are the highest globally in terms of prevalence of diabetes, and you see Egypt recorded as 11. So 6 countries of our region are the highest globally of diabetes prevalence. UAE, Saudi, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, and why we are expecting the highest increase in number of non-communicable diseases cases? Why? It's based on what is currently available in terms of risk factor. What is this picture of risk factor in the region? And this is why we are predicting increase. So, do we have increase in terms of obesity and overweight? Yes. All the region, if you see the figures from the region, we have higher prevalence of obesity and overweight. The conventional risk factors include like food consumption, high of saturated fats, sugar and salt, and physical inactivity. They are explaining nearly 75% of the cases of non-communicable disease. We are not talking about 100% because some of it's related to genetic and other factors, but 75% of cases of cardiovascular diabetes and other chronic diseases are related to these risk factors. So they are modifiable. This is why this very significant, this project, because you are going to screen people early to prevent the occurrence of disease. The table here give you some summary description of some of the risk factors in the region, distribution of risk factors like overweight and obesity. And you could see here what is the distribution of among male and female. And clearly, like, it is very high, 70% among Saudi female. In Kuwait, it is over than 80, and in Jordan, 77. We have also one methodology, we call it a stepwise survey. This is a standardized methodology to assess NCD and NCD risk factors, like the weight and tobacco use. And based on the survey, which is carried in different countries of the region, and one of them, Egypt, they did the survey in 2005. I show you a summary of how these risk factors are distributed in the region. You could see that some of the countries of the region, the prevalence of smoking is more than 50%. 50% of the population are adult smokers. And in terms of physical activity, low physical activity, we have 87%, in the highest in the region. Low intake of vegetable and fruit, and this is also a tremendously high in some countries. So the data, most of the data are available on the WHO website, but this diagram showing you a summary of the mean distribution between the highest and the lowest. The highest and the lowest. In terms of other factors like blood pressure, cholesterol, and sugar, and you see also clearly like hypertension. What is the prevalence of the hypertension? We have some countries, 40% of the population, they have hypertension. And cholesterol, even more than 40%, they have high cholesterol. So these figures are worrying. We have a high prevalence of non-communicable risk factors. I think I had mentioned this. We are talking about 4 main diseases. If you see, these 4 main diseases are sharing the main risk factors: unhealthy diet, smoking, and physical activity. Another issue which is really coming to taking attention of global leaders now, the relation between chronic diseases, non-communicable disease, and economic impact and development impact. Because, you know, we have a Millennium Development Goals to achieve by 2015, and they found that in most of the country, chronic disease is also related to the achievement of Millennium Development Goals. It is related to poverty. It is related to economic cost. I think all of you clearly know the cost of diabetes care, the cost of renal care, the cost of cancer care. People are, the health system are expending a lot of their budget, financial budget, on chronic diseases. And there is a lot of countries who have also out-of-pocket expenditure. If they have cancer, they need to spend all their assets on cancer treatment or diabetes treatment. So it is a costly. How we know it is a costly? This figure, based on the latest World Bank report, and who are the diseases which make the highest or estimate to be the highest in terms of cost, and the rate is chronic diseases, they cost high in terms of severity of the cost and the future burden and impact on the economy. And they are compared with different issues, like even like other issues we did in terms of cost, and chronic disease are having a high impact. One of, like proxy of estimating the cost, if you see here, how much the cost of aspirin, beta blocker, statin, and antidiabetic oral treatment in terms of US dollar. And you could see from this chart, it shows you what is the cost estimated for these medications, the four medications. This here, we have also to mention another factor. Not all of people who have the disease, like hypertension, are afford or could afford the treatment. And I think this is a comparison between people who are receiving, people who have a blood pressure, who are receiving the treatment in different countries. So not all of them can afford the treatment. And that is also a gap in terms of the quality and affordability of the treatment. The treatment is expensive and they cannot afford. Now I want to go with you over what is the WHO doing in terms, just for your attention and information, what is the initiatives for controlling and implementing non-communicable disease. It started with the global strategy on non-communicable disease in 2000. Sorry, let me go back. It started with the global strategy in 2000. This strategy talking about what are the best way or method to control and prevent non-communicable disease and risk factors. Then we have the global strategy. The global strategy has not been implemented well by most of the countries. Then we have the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control. This is an international framework for the first time to attack tobacco only, to control tobacco use and tobacco consumption. And then they thought about what are the intervention needed for diet and physical activity being the main risk factor for chronic disease. So it has the strategy on diet and physical activity, we call it DPAS. And then they found the Empower. Empower, by the name, it is the intervention to control tobacco. And then we have in 2008, it is a certain intervention need to be implemented by the country to implement the strategy. They call it the action plan. So there is an action plan for the strategy to be implemented. And I think you are all familiar. There was in September 19 to 21st, there was a discussion, a global discussion in the UN high-level meeting in the UN in New York regarding non-communicable diseases. And non-communicable disease has been discussed by all the leaders globally, what they need to do to intervene for this global epidemic. And this is the second time, in fact, in the history that the UN take seriously one health subject. The first one was HIV/AIDS, and this one was the second one, non-communicable disease. And it reflects how important and how major the non-communicable disease. On a regional level, we have a regional strategy for cancer, and this strategy, simply, it is a group of intervention, what the country need to do for prevention and control of cancer. We have also a framework for DPAS. If you are interested, please go back and see these all documents on the WHO website. It gives you indication about what sort of action needs to be done for physical activity and diet, and again for tobacco. And another thing, which is, I think it is of our subject today, is how to deal with non-communicable disease on the level of primary health care. What intervention need to be done in primary health care to control and prevent and screen for non-communicable disease, taking in consideration that primary health care is the cornerstone for any health services. So we need to screen and prevent as early, starting from the primary health care or from the community. And on a regional level, we have the NCD action plan also, which we advise all countries to do this intervention to control non-communicable disease. So in conclusion, we agree all that non-communicable disease is constituting a huge problem, and this problem will be increasing in the future. It is an intention of all policymakers and Ministry of Health, NGOs to make actions against non-communicable disease. There is a lot, by now, there is a lot of evidence and cost-effective intervention and best buy we can use to prevent cardiovascular diabetes and other chronic disease. So we must use them. One of the major issue challenges for us is there is no enough and complete data about non-communicable disease to reflect their impact and burden. And this is a challenge. So the way forward is we must believe that dealing with non-communicable disease is beyond the Ministry of Health. It needs to be involved, it needs to be tackled with different partners. University, academia, non-communicable disease, NGOs, and all other ministries need to act together for prevention of non-communicable. It is a multi-sectorial. We need a strong political commitment for prevention and control with a good allocated budget. And we need to build the human capacity. This is what we are doing here, building the human capacity to prevent and screen for non-communicable disease. And the health system needs to be reoriented to facilitate effective intervention of non-communicable. The partnership I mentioned, we are establishing many partnerships. Ministry of Health needs to have a partnership with different sectors. And we have a regional action plan for helping all the country and all people who want to find an intervention. And this is what we are working on. And we need to adapt this regional action or this action plan and implement it in the right way. Thank you for your attention and wish you a successful program.